The Du Ponts have been known in the last 200 years for many things. Their wealth, their generosity, their devotion to family. And then there's the cousin thing. It was family patriarch Pierre Samuel Du Pont de Nemours who first suggested that the Du Ponts marry their cousins, a tradition that lasted through the 19th century.
If you're new to my channel, welcome. Here on Mortal Faces, I untangle family trees as well as talk a little bit about them to see what their deals were. In this video, we'll untangle the Du Ponts in their family tree to see how they promoted cousin marriages to keep the wealth within the family. So thank you for watching, subscribe for more trees, and let me know in the comments who you want to see next.
Pierre's son, Irénée, fretted in a letter that his young daughter, Victorine, was beginning to attract suitors. So on January 26, 1810, Pierre wrote back. He said that he hoped Victorine would marry her uncle, Charles d'Alma, but added that it was only a suggestion. And besides, he said, I do not know whether marriage between uncle and niece is permitted in your country. Pierre wrote from France. Then he penned the words that would reverberate through the generations. If your boys were not younger than your girls, the marriages that I should prefer for our colony would be between the cousins. In that way, we should be sure of honesty and soul and purity of blood, he wrote. The first consanguineous Du Pont marriage took place on June 27, 1833. Sophie Madeleine Du Pont, daughter of Irénée, married Samuel Francis Du Pont, son of Irénée's brother Victor. And that paved the way for a series of marriages between first cousins, as well as unions of second cousins, and eventually distant cousins. Here is part of the Du Pont family tree where I put together many of these cousin marriages. The Du Pont Company was founded by Eleuthère Irénée in 1802. He was a young French immigré in America and thought that a good business would be the milling of gunpowder, and because of the wars that happened in America during the 1800s and the industrialization of the country, by 1907 they had a near monopoly of the American explosives industry. His father, Pierre Samuel Du Pont de Nemours, was the son of a watchmaker father and an impoverished noble mother. He married a woman of another minor noble family and had 4 children. Only Victor and Eleuthère survived to adulthood. Pierre became a friend in the French court to the royal physician. He became an economist, writer, and government official under King Louis XVI, and eventually became ennobled himself. However, during the French Revolution, when he and his son almost were beheaded for defending the king, they were saved when Robespierre fell out of power. However, during the Reign of Terror, their house was also ransacked, and so he left with his boys to America. In this tree, I put together the cousin marriages that I could find for the Du Pont family. Here we have the first cousins in red, who got married to each other, Samuel and Sophie Madeleine, who I showed. Their fathers were brothers. Then you have Pierre Samuel Du Pont, born in 1870. He married his first cousin Alice Benlin. This is Pierre and Alice in 1885. He would have been 15 and she 13. He would marry her later on when he was 45 and she 43. His mom and her father were brother-sister. For second cousin marriages, we have Amelia and Eugene. Their grandfathers were brothers, being Victor and Eleuthère. Then Amelia's brother Charles also married his second cousin, Marie-Sophie Du Pont. He was the grandson of Victor, while she was another granddaughter of Eleuthère and first cousin to Eugene. Finally, Eugene's niece Sophie married Marie's nephew, Irénée. They were also second cousins. Their grandfathers were brothers, the sons of Eleuthère Irénée. Then there's May and William, second cousins once removed. So, her great-grandfather's brother, Eleuthère's kid's kid, was William, and his grandfather's brother's kid's kid was May. An example of a third cousin marriage would be Alice and Thomas Coleman. If Amelia and Charles were brother-sister, then Alice would be their niece, their brother Victor's daughter. Her great-grandfather Victor's brother Eleuthère's kid's kid was Thomas Coleman Du Pont, and vice versa. Lastly, we have distant cousins marrying in the 20th century, but there were few of those by now, as they got the inbreeding itch out of their systems. Emily Tibbet Du Pont married her fourth cousin once removed, Henry Benlin Du Pont Jr. So how this worked was Emily's great-great-great-grandfather was Victor, and his brother was Elutier, as we know, and so his son, Alfred's child was Henry, so Alfred's great-grandson. And if we flip it, Henry's great-great-grandfather, Elutier's brother Victor's great-great-great-granddaughter was Emily. But the cousin marriages began to cause concern, even within the family. The second daughter of second cousins, Charles I Du Pont Jr. and Mary Sophie Du Pont, died days after her birth. Victorine Antoinette Du Pont, who was Charles and Mary's first daughter, followed her sister in death in 1876 at the age of 7 and was reported to have been a strange child from birth. The two deaths prompted General Henri Du Pont, by then the head of the family, to issue an edict at Victorine's funeral. The marriages between cousins must cease, he said. But the general, who ruled the company and the family with an iron fist, found that his authority did not extend to affairs of the heart, because less than a year after the edict, Henri's son, William, married cousin May Du Pont, a marriage that resulted in a scandal when it led to the family's first divorce. And even in modern times, in 1996, William and May's grandson, John Elutier Du Pont, murdered Olympic wrestler David Schultz outside his home. An avid sports enthusiast and philanthropist, his behavior was out of the ordinary, but pleaded not guilty on terms of mentally ill. It seems he may have been schizophrenic, believing people were out to kill him. Rumors say it was the result of the interbreeding. The marriages between cousins had the effect of uniting the family in the early days, but they also made it difficult for outsiders, and even some family members, to untangle the complicated web of relationships. For example, in the two generations that followed the original Elutier-Irénée Du Pont, the name Irénée is repeated 5 times, as well as many other names, including Charles, William, Henri Samuel, Pierre, Victor, Mary, and Sophie, which made even untangling this tree a challenge. And that is the Du Pont family and the cousin marriages. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I do have more untanglements on my channel. Check them out, links in the description. Subscribe for more videos. Each of your subscriptions does help this channel grow. It allows me to continue making more content for you. Let me know in the comments who you want to see next. I do make a list of all your suggestions, and I will see you in the next one.